there something that I could do on a daily basis where I'm chunking down my exercise routine? So I'm not committing to an hour at one time or 45, and I'm breaking it up. But is there a routine I could stick to? So for example, I've done this in the past where I have very little time, but I'll do 100 push-ups, 100 air squats, 100 sit-ups, and I think I break it up into like 20 or 30 segments, but I can be done in sort of under 10 minutes. Or is there something like that you would recommend so you can remember it and say, okay, I just got to do this. Maybe today I've got to do 100 push-ups, for example, but break it up over the days. Is there something optimal?
I guess in terms of breaking it up into periods, I'll land on 3 as the optimal number.
So what are your recommendations? Do you go back to the gym? Do you work with a personal trainer virtually or some sort of app tool? Do you find ways to work out at home between Zoom calls? Do you have any evolving view on this?
You don't have to go to the gym and set aside that 45 or 1 hour block. Even before the pandemic, there was some evidence that, for example, 3 15-minute exercise breaks through the day may be better than a 45-minute workout altogether.
If I did devote 45 minutes a day, you're saying it might be as good or preferable even to break up to 45 minutes?
So again, pre-pandemic, there were some of these studies that were looking at, for example, 30 minutes of walking a day or 3 10-minute bouts of walking spread throughout the day, morning, lunch, in the evening. And if people trained one of those 2 ways, there was some evidence that maybe their blood pressure was a little bit better if they broke it up. Maybe some of their blood sugar responses were a little bit better.
So we talked high intensity, which is clearly getting your cardio up. Where does resistance training, how much of that do we need?
Well, 1 set of bench is probably going to boost your strength 30%. 3 sets is going to get it 35%. If you're someone who's worried about getting every last bit, then you probably want to engage in the 3 sets. But if you're someone who's like, I'm good enough with the 30%, I don't need the 35%, then, how do you spend your time?
And what would be the easiest exercises to remember to do? Is it push-ups, air squats?
I think as we age, lower body strength is particularly important. And arguably, it's one of the most critical things that you can do, because one of the things that will predict whether you go into an assisted living facility is, can you get up off the toilet unassisted? And so engaging lower body exercise, squats, to be able to raise yourself from a seated position is an extremely functional movement that we need.
And is that necessary on a daily basis, or do you need that high intensity like a few times a week?
Some people think that interval training is only this as hard as you can go, gut-busting type exercise, but I like to think of green, yellow, and red zones in terms of intensities of interval training. And so to your point, going for a green level walk around the block is going to be beneficial. Moving it to the yellow zone or the red zone, maybe up and down a flight of stairs might be yellow, and an all-out sprint would be the red zone. All of those things are going to be beneficial. Arguably, the more intense, the better.